Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Let's talk about the amazing episode 24 of Erkenci. We start off with Eileen taking picture of Can and Sanem at the park, and I was so angry with this woman. Like, how desperate can you be? But thank God she didn't appear that many times in the episode. So we only get her taking pictures, then we also get her talking to this friend who works at the newspaper. And she's like, I have big news about John David. I'm like, oh god, woman, seriously. And then the other time, we get her towards the end, where Emre and Leila come to the company and she's in the parking lot. Oh my god, she's going to see Emre and Leila. This will be a huge drama. She will explode. I don't even know what she's going to do with Leila. And then she sees them kiss, and I'm like, oh my god, no, this woman is going to lose her mind. And she did. She did lose her mind. She even blackmailed Emre to break up with Leila, or else she would play this recording she have. I mean, who records that? The only person that records such conversations is a person that wants to achieve something by blackmailing people, and that's basically Eileen. And then when she said to Emre, well, we're soulmates and you're a bad person and you're just playing with Leila, and then Emre said to her, well, it's the first time I get to be happy and see the good in people, and Leila makes me a good person, and we broke up, like I broke up with you. I'm like, yes, Emre, tell her that she brings the bad out of people. And then she plays the recording and says, well, this is the real you. This is the Emre that is in you, the bad Emre. And I'm like, no, it's not. I mean, Leila just spent like 3 days with him, or just like a very small amount of time, whereas you spent like months and months, maybe even years with him, and he wasn't that happy. He even told Leila when they were at the cafe that he's like in love with her, and I'm like, this moves very, very quickly. So I wanted to believe that he really loves her. Maybe he does, because it looked like he meant it, but then at the same time I was like, okay, this won't last long because there's still Eileen in the game. So I was right. She blackmailed him to break up with Leila, and he did, and I felt so bad for Leila, because at the beginning of the episode you get to see Emre and Leila in the car, happy with one another, and they go on dates, they go to the cafe. He confesses his love to her, he kisses her, like they're like a real couple, and I felt so happy for Leila, but at the same time I was very anxious because it could end any moment, and it did. And then when he broke up with her, I felt so bad for him and for Leila, but Leila was so, I don't even know how to describe it. She didn't seem that desperate. Like, she accepted it, even though she hated the fact that he breaks up with her. She accepted his decision and said, whatever you want, and just got out of the car. So she didn't seem like this desperate woman who wants his affection, who wants his love. And I think that showed to Emre that she is, like, you could say, a real woman. Like, she doesn't really need him, but she wants to be with him. And then when you saw Leila being all sad and crying in her room, and also in Sanem's room, it was just so heartbreaking. And then seeing Emre doing the same thing, and Can giving him advice like, fight for this love. I saw your eyes lit up whenever you talked about Leila, so there really is something between you two, so you should fight for it. But that's a weak point for Emre, because whenever there's an obstacle, he kind of is like, okay, I don't want to have anything to do with it, cut all ties, I don't want anything, I don't want to get in trouble. So that's the same with Leila. So he also wanted to protect her, but mostly he wanted to protect himself. I think he will kind of work against Eileen in some way, because now he knows what it really feels like to be happy, because you also saw this brotherly relationship, like a real brotherly relationship, because in the beginning it was more like, well, it's a game, I want to gain his trust and backstab him. But this all changed with Leila, and there's also like Emre showing Can this news article of the pictures Aylin took. You could see in Emre's face that he was suspicious, that it was kind of planned or somebody followed them, so he knows something is up with it. And then he calls Aylin and she's like, well, of course I did it, blah blah blah. And I'm like, Emre, please see her true colors, even though he does see them. So I don't know, he really needs to cut all ties with Aylin to come clean with all the things he did. So yeah, it will be a long journey for Emre, and I really do hope that it's in the right direction so he doesn't go back to the dark side of Aylin. I like the fact that they kind of incorporated Can's eye infection into the story. When he came home and just wiping his eyes and saying, well, I have an eye infection, I thought, well, they reacted really quickly. And then the fact that he didn't wear his glasses in the last scene, this thing really confused me, and that's why I said in my previous video that the ring that Sanem wears is an engagement ring, because he doesn't wear his glasses in that scene. So I thought it was quite at the beginning. Maybe they wanted to have Can do this scene without any glasses on, so his panic when Sanem told him that they need to break up, he talked with his eyes, and maybe they wanted to catch that kind of. So either this last scene was filmed before anything else was filmed and his eye infection got worse, or they wanted to, or maybe they wanted to film Can without his glasses to show us his reaction. I don't know. Because I'm already talking about the seaside scene, am I the only one who thought that Can's jacket looked so soft, especially like the faux fur on the inside? Generally, I loved everything they wore once again. Another thing that I've noticed, and maybe I'm the only one, but Leila's hair changed during scenes. So I was really confused at times, and then I had to go back and be like, okay, I'm not crazy. Her hair really did change. And the first time this happened was when Leila brought documents to Emre's office, and they were like really careful that the other people wouldn't see anything, because the news just broke that Sanem and Can are in a relationship because of the news article, and JJ trying to convince everyone that it's not true, but I'll get to that later. But what I wanted to say is that when Leila and Sanem left the house, Leila's parting was on her left, like on her right side. When you watch the series, it's on the left side, and then when she's in Emre's office, it's on the right side. That confused me a little bit, and that also happened when Mevkibe was in Sanem's room, cleaning all up, having a headache, being all dramatic about the Can and Sanem situation. So when Leila comes in, her hair is like in a low ponytail but plaited, and then when there's just Leila and Sanem talking and you see like a frontal view of Leila, you can see that her hair is loose, so in a ponytail but not plaited anymore, and then when they hug, it's plaited again. So it's always changing between plaited ponytail and not plaited ponytail. But yeah, that's just what I noticed. This episode was such a roller coaster ride for JJ, because one second he's trying to convince everyone that the news are fake, then he's like, okay, nobody believes me, I can relax now, everybody knows about this relationship, so I'm relaxed, I found inner peace. And then when Can explains to the agency that those news are fake because him and Sanem came up with this idea to lie about everything, to just say that they're work friends and this is just a bad moment they were caught in, and then JJ is like, shame on you all because I told you those are fake news, you don't listen to me. I laughed so much, especially at the scene where Darren comes, sees the news, and she's just really shocked but doesn't say anything, and then everyone is like, well, she didn't go crazy, and JJ is like, she needs to comprehend everything and then she will go crazy. And then he just looks at his watch and is like 10, 9 and counts down, and then when he does like this, she screams. It's so funny. And then we have him in the cafe being like, well, I work here and searching for a seat with his plush animal, and then Ayhan calls him and he invites her to come as well. And then later on when Ayhan is there, he's like, take a picture, and she's like, okay, because she thought she would take a picture of both of them, but he's like, no, no, take of me working. And with the fire in the background, it's so hilarious. And then Emre and Leila come in and he's so overwhelmed with everything. He's like, why do I always see those things? And then he's trying to sneak out with Ayhan, and then they get out. But right in front of the cafe, Osman is filming the series he's the star of, and JJ just loses his mind when he sees Osman and tries to hide, and Ayhan is trying to explain to Osman why she's there. It's just like so much happening. And then when they're still at the cafe, he sees the news about Can and Jada, and he's like, oh my god, what am I going to do? And then he has to go to Can's house. On the walk to the house, he's like, I won't tell a single soul, only Can. And as soon as Güliz opens the door, he's like, have you seen the news about Can and Jada, blah 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 da 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 da. He just tells her everything, and she's like, oh, we know this already. And he's like, okay, so I'm not the only one. Well, then let's go in. So hilarious. I felt really bad for Can in this episode because he constantly had to explain himself that those news are fake. First of all, with Sanem, he has to like come up with those ideas, and Sanem is like, well, scream at me, talk badly about me. Then Mevkübe comes because she sees it in the newspaper and leaves Melahat in the shop, and this woman just turns the whole shop in a gossip site where you see women knitting, eating. One sits there with curlers in her hair. Muzo is the only man in between, and just listening to Melahat coming up with those things is just hilarious. And then when Mevkübe comes back from Can and Sanem, she just does this sound she always does, and everyone's like, okay, I have to go, blah blah blah. It's hilarious. But before that, when Mevkübe arrives at the company, Sanem is like, oh my god, JJ, you need to keep my mom away. I have to prepare Can. And then she runs to Can and is like, well, you have to scream at me, just like I said before. And she opens the door so her mom can hear it. And he's like, well, what documents are these? This is the worst thing I've ever seen, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, well, keep going, go harsher, go harsher. And then at the end, he's like, and this tea is just disgusting, I don't drink it. And she's like, that's too far. And he's like, oh really? I laughed so much. And then she goes to Mevkübe and she gets all angry and just like talking with clenched teeth, and Can coming out and them talking in his office and him coming up with those ideas and how it all happened, and Sanem recreating this scene. Oh my god. But then Mevkübe, she believed them, so it was all good. But I felt so bad for Nihat because he saw the news on a customer's phone, and then his phone wasn't charged all day. He was just contemplating, thinking about it. So I really felt bad for him. And then this scene in the archives, oh my god, it was hilarious. Can is like, I can't deal with this anymore, I don't want to treat you badly, I don't want to do this. And then he's going in for the kiss, but Sanem sees the camera on the ceiling and is like, oh my god, they're going to see us. And she goes to the cupboard where the folders are, and she's like, Can Bey, do you need this folder and she sees that the camera doesn't catch this angle, and he's like, oh yes, this one, and then they get really close, and then who calls and ruins this almost kiss? Jada. I didn't need this woman, honestly, but she got so jealous because Gamze told her the news that Sanem and Can are a couple, and then I was like, okay, this woman is up to no good. And she wasn't, because she planned this dinner with McKinnon or whatever his name is. Best move, Sanem just putting the phone call on speaker. It was amazing. And then after the phone call ended and Can wants to go in for a kiss, she's like, no, Jada kissed you so much that she almost kissed me. I laughed so much. And then when they talked a little more and there is almost a kiss, Daran comes in and all hell broke loose. Folders are flying, Sanem is screaming. Oh my god, it was hilarious. So this dinner date happens between Can, Jada and McKinnon. Sometime during their conversation he just stands up and goes to the toilet, and Jada is like, Can, da, 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 da. As I said many times before in my previous videos, I just blank out whenever this woman talks, and she's like, well, Can, da, da, da. And then she touches his hand, and then a group of people comes. Why do so many people have friends that work at newspapers? Because this blonde witch just took pictures of them and sent those pictures to the newspaper. I'm like, seriously? This is a dream come true for Jada, but a nightmare for Can, because once again he has to explain himself to everyone, to his employees, to Sanem, because the next day when Sanem comes to his house, she's like all worked up because she saw the news article because of Melahat. She's all angry at first, but he explains himself. While this dinner date happened, we also get the dinner in Sanem's house, and that's where Mevkibe comes up with those restrictions or rules for Sanem and Leila, and I wasn't that far off. If not, I've said almost everything in my previous video. Mevkibe says that Sanem isn't allowed to go to Ayhan's anymore, to stay overnight there, and that Can and Emre aren't allowed to come to the neighborhood because everyone is talking about them. So I wasn't that far off, and that Nihat can drive them wherever, whenever they wanted. I also felt really bad for Osman when he saw Leila, because she went out of the cafe and then Emre came and they went away hand in hand, and I felt really bad for him. I can't even explain it, because I'm in favor of Leila and Emre, but I also want to see Osman happy. So I don't know, I was hoping for Osman to get together with Daran, because when they shot the car commercial where Sanem had this 80s style going on, he saved Daran from Chakal. I was hoping that he would get together with Daran. Now I've seen some pictures of him and Leila, so I really do hope that Leila doesn't use Osman as a rebound to get over Emre. I really like those Can moments when they wrote notes to each other and it was like a back and forth. I got flashbacks of when I was in school, because that's what we used to do. And then when Can was kind of talking about Sanem sent without people understanding it, that he meant Sanem sent, and this poor guy didn't understand a thing, and then Can was looking at Sanem and he's like, and Sanem is doing the same thing. Oh my god, how amazing. And then who appears? Jada. Why, woman, why do you need to come to Can's house? And then when she was explaining herself, and whenever she walked, she had this like special walk, like, oh my god, look at me. And then when Can and Jada were sitting on the sofa and she put her hand on Can, Sanem saw it and JJ trying to calm her down, but Sanem clamped his hand. He was like, oh my god, you got my hand, it hurts, blah blah blah. And he was so desperate to get his hand out of her hand. And this moment was kind of a trigger for Sanem to be like, okay, I can't do this anymore. I have to tell my parents, I have to tell my mom that we're a couple. that I'm in love with you. But before she goes, he kisses her and says good luck and blah blah blah. And then she goes. And yeah, I think I already talked about the seaside, that John was panicked. She tells him that they need to break up, but she means their work relationship. He's panicked, but then he says he doesn't want to let her go. He can't stand being without her. And then she's like, well, my mom will keep asking me, when are we going to get married? And he's just like, okay, let's get engaged or let's get married. So yeah, that's the end. And now to Alex's predictions for episode 25. We already got the preview, which really shocked me in a way because John's stone broke. Now, there are two theories I have. One is it's a really bad sign. The stone is broken, all hell will break loose, drama will happen. Second theory is it's not a bad sign, and you can see that John is really amazed, shocked, confused that the stone broke, even though he said it in previous episodes that the stones fell down many times and it didn't break. Maybe this is kind of a sign that he doesn't need the white stone anymore because Sanem represents his white stone. Maybe he will kind of give the other half to Sanem, could be, and he will keep the other half. Those are my two theories. And then we also got a trailer on Sunday. I have to say, I'm amazed and I'm so excited for Saturday. So first we get Sanem telling Mevkebe that John said, well, let's get married, and Mevkebe being all relaxed and being all happy that she sees that he means it. Then we get to see Fabri again. So I don't know if I've mentioned it in one of my reviews where Fabri was last seen. I don't know if I said it, but I had a feeling that he will disappear for 2 or 3 episodes and then he would come back again with a huge bang, like cause drama, and there will be drama because John punches Fabri and I'm like, oh my god, oh my god, this is going to be amazing because now John can say she's my girlfriend, I will marry her, so keep your distance. And then when Fabri said we will see about that, I was like, wrong move. Wrong move, you messed with the wrong person here. And just a couple of seconds later he gets punched. So I was like, well deserved. And then we get the Sanem Leila conversation about the incident where Emre came to Leila and then she tells Sanem that Osman saw them and he came. So maybe there was a fight between Emre and Osman because Osman is quite protective of Leila. Maybe now Emre sees Osman as this other guy, like a competition, because in one of my previous reviews I said in this triangle, Emre, Leila and Osman, only Osman saw Emre as a competition, but now maybe Emre will see Osman as a competition. Could be, but I really do hope that Leila doesn't play with Osman's feelings. I don't know, I want to see all of them happy. And then John goes to the company and tells everyone that him and Sanem are in a relationship, and Daran just loses her mind and just constantly looks at Sanem. And the best moment in this trailer was when JJ gave her this protection for an evil eye. Oh my god, I laughed so much. So my prediction of what happens when is right after they leave the seaside, they will go to the agency. So the ending of the trailer will be the beginning of the episode, then the preview will happen, then we will get Daran having a close eye on Sanem and JJ giving her this thing for an evil eye. While Sanem is at the company, this whole Emre, Osman, Leila thing will happen. Then we get Mevkebe and Sanem conversations. Then we will get the conversation between Sanem and Leila. After that we will get the fight between Can and Fabri. Even though I love the idea of Can and Sanem getting engaged, I hope they will have a long engagement, so it will be a summer wedding. and then we'll go to summer break, and then September, October 2019 we will continue this amazing Janem story, because there's so many things that we still didn't really have an answer to. What happened to Eileen? Why is she the way she is? What happens when Jan finds out about the things Emre did? What happens to Jan when he finds out that Sanem took his photographs and with his photographer license, where she also had a nightmare when she slept over at his house? So this whole thing has to happen. Where is Aziz? Maybe he will come to the wedding in the summer. Where is Mama David? Because we've never seen this woman. So there are so many more things this series needs to address, but I really do hope that they will do it in the far future and the series will go on and on and on. But yeah, I think that's all I can say for my predictions and my wishes for this series. This is it for my review. I hope you liked it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. It will really mean a lot to me. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I wish you a very Merry Christmas, or whatever you celebrate. Happy holidays. Hope you have a great time with your family. Get a lot of presents. And I will see you next week.